What's up, everybody? You're listening to another episode of the SignatureCAST, where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. To my right, we are joined by 2018 IPF World Champion Powerlifter and all-around badass, Solana Lewis. Solana, thank you so much for coming in today. I think this is going to be a great one for the people at home.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me, Will.
Yeah, it's great. So Solana is a member here of our Strength and Conditioning Center and the rest of the gym. She is a regular. She's probably one of the most ninja athletes I think we have here. She comes in, gets it done, and goes home, and I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, people be bullshitting here.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I'm like, no, I want to train.
Yeah, 20 minutes in between sets.
I actually brag about it. I'm like, yo, I do all my training for the whole week in less than 10 hours. People be here for like 20.
It's crazy. No, in all honesty, my own training, because since I've left powerlifting and strongman and now I'm doing the arm wrestling, but I still do like tons of hypertrophy work and just everything, strength work, whatever. I'm in and out of here as close to an hour as possible. That's with coming here, getting my drink ready, going to the sauna, warming up, and doing my workout. I'm just like,
that's great.
I'm trying to get out as quick as I can, but like I'm not lacking on anything. I'm just staying focused and not, like you said, BSing during the workout. So, powerlifter, coach as well.
Yes.
So what got you into powerlifting in the first place?
All right, so I started powerlifting at 19. I'm 27, so I guess 8 years. I feel old.
Don't worry, I just turned 30.
Hey. But yeah, it was 8 years ago. So basically, I was lifting at Montclair State, like for fun. That was my first year getting into just strength training. And my friend, his name is Rob, we're still friends to this day. He was like, yo, you should powerlift because I do it and like you look pretty strong. Now, granted, looking back, I'm like, I did not squat to death. I was not really strong, actually, in my opinion, right? And, like, all my stuff looked like shit. But I was, like, was powerlifting. So I went to his gym to see his friends do it. And his friends were all, like, masters 2 and up. So that's, like, that's 50 years old and up, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was like, this is weird because everyone's older and, like, they're chalked up. Like, chalk is just flying in the air. I don't know what's going on. They're grunting but taking 20-minute breaks. But doing like 2 reps. I just never seen it. I had never heard of the name powerlifting. I was like, I'm not doing this. But then I went to see him compete just to support him. I was like, yo, then I saw the women doing it who were like my age. I was like, oh, this looks cool. Now it's not weird. I'll give it a shot. So within like 2 weeks, I got coached like from what gym? 24 Hour Fitness in Saddlebrook. I got a coach that like powerlifted and we just started and we just like never stopped.
That's awesome. I mean, it's
I stopped with him, but I never stopped powerlifting.
Yeah. So it's been, you said about 8 years?
8 years.
8
like
years, yeah. I think I started, I didn't start competitively powerlifting until 2000 and, I want to say 15 or 16, but I was always like powerlifting in the gym, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But never like competed until like 2015. And then I did it for about 4 years, like very competitively. And then I had like a pretty significant back injury. Not that powerlifting did it. It was probably just a lack of my, like, just training incorrectly and probably trying to redline way too hard at a meet once, But, yeah, I absolutely love the sport. I support all the guys here and the girls. And, I encourage everyone at home, if you've ever wanted to do something where you push yourself to the absolute limit, I think it's, like, the easiest avenue to do that.
Yes.
And can be the safest too. If you want to push yourself to the limit riding a motorcycle at 2 million miles an hour, great, but you're probably going to die.
Yeah.
This, you won't die. It'll be good. But so you've been doing that for 8 years. When did you decide to start coaching people? So
I've been coaching, because I did personal training since I was like 17, but coaching powerlifting since like probably 2018 to 2019. Because in 2020, when COVID hit, that's when I went fully online and went full time with just online powerlifting coaching. Before that, it was like 25% online, but like personal training and like just seeing if I liked it. So yeah, I went like all in 2020, but like 2018.
What was your so you went to Montclare State?
Yes, I did.
What was your undergrad in?
Exercise science.
Oh, okay, all right. So
everything
all right,
really
cool.
worked out well.
Same. Yeah, I did. So I originally started as my major was kinesiology, but I switched to my major being public health with a concentration in kinesiology. Okay. So same thing, all the, same classes and stuff. But that's awesome. I like to hear that people actually put it to work because, in our field, a lot of the times it's rare that they put it, because it's hard to find a job.
It really is. Like this particular exercise science, all you can do is continue education, become a physical therapist, or you just like kind of do personal training, but you never needed a degree in the first place to do the personal training. So I'm very
or you somehow become smart enough and you really dive into like the physics of it and start working for Nike making shoes or something, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like there's not many, avenue. And then yeah, it's definitely tough. It's not one of those like, oh, you go to school to be a doctor, now you're a doctor.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. Awesome. So you've been coaching now for about what, 4 years?
4 years for full-time powerlifting.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Very
like
cool.
Personal training, I've been in that space for like a decade.
Yeah, awesome. So your biggest accomplishment, I'm assuming, is that IPF 2018 World Championship.
Yeah, like that was crazy. It's weird too because the women's side has exploded so much since like 2020. Really, that's when it like went boom. Like so many people joined it, numbers just start flying up. So yeah, 2018 I became a world champion. I was a junior world champion. So it was crazy because I did my first ever nationals as a junior. Got second, but first place aged out because it was junior division. So, like, I was the first place for the actual age to do it. And when I got the invite to Worlds, I didn't know what it was because I was so new to powerlifting. Like, Nationals was my third meet ever.
Wow.
My first one was RPS. I did a
Nice.
random meet, and I was like, I don't know, but that was cool. And then I went to USAPL because I was told, that's better. I was like, sure, I guess. And then I did a meet, got to Nationals with it, did Nationals, got to Worlds with it. Didn't know what was happening, really. Even when I got to Worlds, I was like, okay, I think I'm understanding that this is, like, really important. That's how I was. But yeah, I got first place, and that was cool. I went 8 for 9. The sad thing is, so the coaches made a mistake, right? So on my second deadlift, I was supposed to break the world record deadlift. They matched it. They forgot to chip it.
No.
I know. Disgusting, right? Disgusting. So I hit it. I'm so excited because I was told it was the world record by the coaches, but I also noticed like they didn't announce it. And they're like, oh, we forgot to chip it, but it flew up. So they were like, it's fine. And I don't
Just
remember.
do it again.
Basically, I can't remember what the third attempt was, like how big the jump was, but it wasn't like anything crazy. I literally lifted it and just fell. Like I got to the top, like rocked a bit and like fell backwards and dropped it. It was so sad.
I would be so mad.
I was so upset. Like,
But that's crazy. Your third meet ever was nationals.
I know.
That's great. So you did start at RPS.
I technically, yeah. I started RPS.
Where did you do it? Did you compete in Newark?
Yep.
Yep, that's where I competed at my first meet.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It was 10 hours long, and that's why I didn't want to
Wait,
go
what
back.
year was that?
That must have been probably 2016.
Was it Autumn Apocalypse?
Oh gosh, I don't remember the name.
I think we might have been at the same exact
the same meet?
It might have been the first same. I'll look up when we're done. I'm going to look because I have the photo from my first meet, and I think it was 2016. We probably were in the same meet. Most likely. Because I remember so all my meets were at RPS, and I remember specifically one of them was like 10 and a half, like 11 hours long.
Oh my God.
And it was like the worst. I mean, it was great, but it was one of the worst experiences in terms of people don't understand, like when your meet is going on for that long, having to peak 3 times
It's horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, I don't know how I PR my deadlift. Well, you PR because you're sort of new to the sport.
Yeah,
PR.
yeah.
But like, by the amount of caffeine I had, I was like just dying, running on fumes, and wanted to cry.
I know. In the last meet that I did, knowing that it was going to be so long, because it was a stacked meet, like in terms of like all the flights were full, like to the max, and they probably overpacked people.
Yep.
And on top of that, I was the last lifter in all the flights because I had the heaviest opener. So it was like, I think I tried to take a nap in between. Yeah. Because
I actually like left for a few minutes. Like I left a bit.
Oh yeah, no, I went outside. I sat in my car for a little because I knew I had like literally 2 hours in between each event. Crazy. So a little bit more on the coaching side. So you've been doing it now for like full time for powerlifting for 4 years.
Yes.
Is there anything that you consider that you do as different than other coaches or something that you specialize in?
So the way that I targeted my audience on Instagram, which is where my athletes come from, I have a full roster of all women.
That's
I have
cool.
no male clients. I used to have some male clients come in, and the way that I kind of presented myself as a coach was like, I want to help women get strong as fuck. Like, that was really what it was. Even though I was never anti-men. I just kind of like, I just loved help women get getting stronger. And I kept hearing from a lot of like my friends who competed, like they were frustrated with coaching. Like they were frustrated with coaching, not because dumb stuff like the coach literally isn't doing their job, but like they couldn't talk to their coach about like how their cycle was like making it harder for them certain
Sure.
days. But the coach would just be like, you know, like,
Just
like,
lift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just lift. Or like just in general, sometimes they're like, I'm trying to get in certain position or do certain things, but like they're treating them like a man in the sense of like, okay, just like take, I don't know, 4 scoops of pre-workout and go. And it's like, well, no one should really do that. But like, okay, coach, like I don't think you're understanding that the way my I know, I'm not kidding. I have a client that I coached this weekend, and she told me her old coach would make her take 4 scoops of pre-workout the day of the meet. And like she was like, yeah, I mean, he coaches like all like, you know, 23-year-old guys, and they're all fine with it. And like she's literally a master's lifter, and she's like, I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack the whole time. I'm like, yeah,
Even
she's
like
coaching like young guys.
That makes there's no advantage to that whatsoever. Like, first of all, there's a threshold of their body consuming caffeine. A, B. Why would you want to? Yeah, that's just
that. And I'm not
that's just a horrible idea.
That even mentioned you, but like it was just like this whole bro science.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
jeez.
So I present myself like the coach that's like, I'm for women to get stronger, and I will understand you and talk to you and communicate with you. That's how I communicate.
And
with
that's
coaching.
one thing I find so frustrating is having, you know, because you're part of the sport, you're part of the community, you understand everything about the sport. Like also getting the side of like tested versus non-tested athletes. Even the, like, I know I've met a lot of the athletes that aren't natural, and still their coaches are like, yeah, just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, so you're doing this stuff and you're not even treating it scientifically. It's just like, yeah, let's just put this hodgepodge together.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you wonder why these people get frustrated, because also, like you said, a 22-year-old dude, like, is going to get stronger if he lifts. Like, there's no... You could be like, yeah, just squat 135 100 times,
And
3 times a week,
yep.
and their squat will go up. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So yeah, that's I can see that being, but that's cool. So all female clients.
All female clients. Yeah, my roster's like 35-ish people. That's where
What's
I keep it.
What's the oldest client that you have?
Currently, probably like 59.
That's awesome.
I used to have a Masters 3 lifter who was in his late 60s. That was my favorite. Like, I was so happy. I coached him for like a year and a half, and then he decided to stop powerlifting.
Okay.
And it was so much fun. Like, I loved it.
That is so cool.
Oh, you know what? I also coached. Okay, I didn't fully coach her. I assisted coaching Shelly Stetner, who just won Masters 3 Worlds this year.
That's awesome.
In her late 60s.
That's super cool. Super cool.
That was cool too.
So you've been obviously to Worlds multiple times. You've been to, you know, all these like big competitions, and you've seen now, especially, I would say the biggest change in powerlifting has happened in the past 10 years. You know, because first, like 10 years ago, there was still a little bit of equip lifting going on. I mean, it still goes on now, but in terms of, it was still a little bit more acceptable, we'll say.
It was like mostly equipped.
Yeah. And because 10 years ago would be 14? Oh, almost 2014.
Yeah, 2013, yeah.
2013. So, you know, the Raw was starting to come on, you know, and now obviously everything is Raw powerlifting. But in that time, I think the sport has grown in good ways. I think this sport has grown in really bad ways. So anytime I have a powerlifter or someone who's into powerlifting, I do the same thing with bodybuilding in any sport, but what are some good trends you think that are going on right now, and what are some bad trends that you think are going on right now?
Okay,
You can start with the bad if you want to just get it out of the way.
Well, to be honest, it's not even a trend. I don't know if you're aware when it comes to drug-tested powerlifting, because that's the community I'm in. The split between the IPF and USAPL. Are you aware of this?
I am not, because I've been so disconnected from the competitive side of it right now.
So to make a long story short for people who don't know what that is, USAPL was how you got to IPF Worlds. IPF is International Powerlifting Federation, recognized around the entire world. Like most countries besides USA, all they have is IPF. So IPF is massive. It's huge, right? Like that's how you literally become a world champion.
And they just do like lower level IPF meets to go to IPF.
USAPL?
So I guess what I'm asking you is, USAPL was the avenue to get to IPF.
Yes, so
the rest of the world would just do IPF meets to go to like IPF Worlds.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right? So this is really unfortunate. This happened 2 years ago. There was a split. USAPL, it all had to do with drug testing, and USAPL didn't like the policy about IPF drug testing, so they wanted to do more drug testing, but in-house drug testing, which is not the same thing as paying WADA, because WADA is very expensive, and we couldn't do the amount of drug testing we wanted to do while paying WADA prices, right? Long story short. So we split. Now you have to go to Powerlifting America, in order to get to International Powerlifting Federation and go to Worlds. It's very frustrating because USAPL was where everyone was there.
From what I understood, that's like the standard. You know?
Yes, like if you were dressed as a powerlifter, no one took you seriously unless you were USAPL in America.
Yeah.
No one cared. You went to USPA, that's cool. We don't care. I'm just going to be blunt. IPF is where we're trying to get to. So that split is very frustrating now because it's like, what federation do I do? There's competition that's split. Like, you want to be with the strongest people. Well, what are they doing? It's just a lot of confusion. It's not as fun. Even this year's Nationals, like, it was fun, but, like, it sucked knowing that, like, the top 2 or 3 strongest decided to do the other meets in a different federation.
Because they wanted to get to IPF.
Because they want to get to IPF Worlds. But the reality is they take one person per weight class. We can't all go to Worlds.
IPF World, it has to be IPF where they do a lot of single ply too, right? Is it IPF Worlds or no?
There's Equipped Worlds too. That's
so maybe I'm thinking about something separate then, because I just remember I noticed that like in a lot of the international stuff almost nobody does multiply anymore.
Yeah, no.
But there's still, especially overseas, there's still a lot of single ply.
Yes, there is. Single ply.
That's still very common. But yeah, that's a bummer. But it's having now been so versed in bodybuilding at the top level with Sean and powerlifting at the top level with meeting a lot of these people at the Arnold's and all this type of stuff and just knowing some of them personally and now even with arm wrestling, the whole subject of testing is to me, it's very frustrating, right? Because there's no such thing as a perfect drug test, right? We know that. And B, there's always going to be a way for someone to cheat the test. Like, and I know some people don't like that, but like, I know people who have cheated the test.
Yes.
Not that I think that was a good thing that they did that. But it's just like it's really a tough thing to accomplish, especially because. So actually, I have a question. So USPA, USAPL, when they do, so now they're doing their in-house drug testing.
Yes.
Let's say I'm in the super heavyweight class, and who do they drug test in the super heavyweight class? Like, let's say that results are in, who do they drug test, or is it you go in, or how does it work?
Okay, so USAPL drug test 10% of people at every single meet. Right? So just 10% period. So if there's 100 people competing, it's 10. You can choose whoever you want. As a referee, I'm a national referee. I'm going to go for...
So I could be like, that guy.
Yes. I'm going to go for the person who I think I should drug test, really.
Okay.
It's all up to me.
Now, so I'm nobody to USAPL. I'm some random guy who works at a gym. But if it were me, what I would do is increase the athlete's entry and every single person gets drug tested. To me, that's the only way. But if you think about it, it's the only way that like everyone is under pressure.
Yeah, it's just so unaffordable that you're increasing the price by 10.
Because the drug testing, it's very expensive, right?
It's expensive, and like that's just in-house drug testing. Like in-house, and like we're paying like a smaller
like company or whatever. Yeah.
Like water was like you pay 4 figures per person.
Wow.
Like it just
I get it.
Would just be done. Like, all right, I guess
because all I'm saying is we've all seen when like, and I'm not saying this happens at USAPL in whatever drug test federation, whether in any sport, sometimes the golden child didn't get drug tested.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've all seen that.
To me, I'm like.
But I will say,
that's a bit sketchy.
If we're talking like national stuff like that, like if they're not gonna drug test someone who like won but didn't break a record, if you break a record, you have to be drug tested.
Oh, okay.
They're not doing it because if you are that strong, you're already in the out of meet drug testing circle, and they can see how many times you've been out of meet drug tested. So they might not choose you because they're like, well, we drug tested you 4 times this year.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Like,
Yeah, I understand.
Go for this person who got 3rd place, did really well, and we drug tested them 1 time.
I understand. Yeah. I said, it just comes down to it's tough because there's no, especially because now I know that the money it costs so much.
Yeah.
There's never a perfect way. Like in a perfect world, everyone shows up, they pee in a cup, and then you know.
Yes, it's so simple.
It's so simple, but yeah. Oh man, that's such a bummer.
It's so frustrating.
That I can see, yeah. And so now
everyone's number 1 pet peeve in drug tested powerlifting right now, the split.
Wow. And I know that there was some drama with the USPA, and then and there was drama with RPS a couple years ago. with that person thing, and like there's just a lot of drama around powerlifting.
I mean, USPA was a whole different thing, though. That
was a whole nother
sad.
subject. Yeah, very sad.
Like, how do y'all not do safe sport? Like, nothing's going on here.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, like I said, all of my meets were RPS just because I never had I never truly had the desire to be like the best in the world. Like I always had my own just personal goals. And it was like, to me, it's like, it's convenient. Cause like I'm a big promoter of, you know, personally, if you squat to depth or not, you know? So like when I used to go, and anybody can go look on my Instagram, when I would compete at RPS, like my squats were low. You know what I mean? Now there are people who sometimes squat at RPS and their squats are kind of high, you know? So I always left it to myself, but you know, I always wanted to have a 2K total. And then I was like, I'm going to retire. I'm like, I'm not going to powerlift anymore. And I was so close.
Oh man.
And that was the meet that hurt my back. I squatted 825 with reps. I benched 470. And then I needed I think it was 705 if that math adds up. 700 something, very low 700 to get a 2K total. And I'm like, I'm done. Mm-hmm. And I opened with like 620 on deadlift and just like, cause I didn't want to waste it. I just like smoked it. It was like a last warm up. And I had a singlet at the time that was like a little bit lower. So I didn't think of like hiking it up. Mm-hmm. And my overhand, as I'm coming up, like my fingers like snagged on it just the slightest bit to where like if you see it opens and I start trying to like save it and I'm rotating. See, you know exactly what happens.
Yes, I can picture it.
You start rotating and I'm rotating now with 700 something pounds in my hand and I drop it and I'm like, it's okay, I have one other attempt. And I don't really feel it. I sit down, I take a deep breath and I go flick. And all of a sudden I'm like,
oh God.
Like, and what I found out what I did is I rotated and shifted my SI joint instantaneously. I went to the warm-up area. I couldn't even pick up 135 off the floor.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a bummer. And then my friend who I was competing with, like, we were like pseudo training partners and like rivals, but in a good way. He hit his 2K total.
Of course.
And then I didn't hit mine and I just was like, gonna go home in shame. And I still, to this day, really want to hit it. But if I do go back to do it, I want to do it in the 275 pound class, not in the super heavyweight class. And just like annihilate and then just 2K and I'm done. Like I don't want world records. I don't want any of that stuff because I know what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Like the Dan Bell I think still has the overall total record.
No,
and it's,
sir.
Who's it now?
Jesus Oliveira.
Oh, he got it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
He smashed it.
That's awesome.
Drug tested and drug tested many a time.
That's awesome.
Yes. I mean, truly, like the fact that like no one ever thought that would be broken. And so
he beat Dan Bell's record?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, I got to see that. That's awesome.
It was at Sheffield this year.
Wow.
Yeah, Sheffield was amazing.
I definitely gotta go back and look at that. But so, all right, so that's over 2,600, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just like, I'm like, I want two. I don't need 2,600.
Like 1,000 pounds, like a little bit over. A 1,000 pound squat.
6 something bench?
Yep, a 6 something bench, and then like a 900 something.
Like mid-9s or something, yeah.
I think it was like low, like I feel it was like 930 something. But
okay, so he probably had like a almost 1,100 pound squat, I'm assuming. It was probably a high.
It was his best squat.
Yeah.
It was over 1,000 pounds. I don't remember.
Wow. Oh my God. I don't think people understand how heavy that is. Like, so when so at that last meet, I opened with my last attempt from the previous meet for the squat, which was 725. So I opened with 725 and I was so cranking. It was like, boom. And everyone's like, the crowd went nuts. They all stood up like that. They didn't expect, but then they were like, "You're sandbagging." I'm like, "Dude, that was my max at the last meet, like 6 months ago. What are you talking about?" And it put me in such a mood that I was like, "I am unbreakable." And I looked at the ref and doing the numbers, and I just said, "Give me 825," and she was like, she looked at me, and I'm like, "You heard me. Give me 825." So I did a 100-pound jump.
That's amazing.
I got it. Yeah. But I had never had anything over in that training block, I had never had anything over 750 on my back, but I had never squatted anything heavier than 725.
Wow.
So what I did was maybe I had 775 on my back, but I would just do unracks and holds, just to kind of get my central nervous system like used to the weight.
Yep.
That did not help.
I was gonna ask if you feel like it helps. I've only ever used that with very new lifters who literally tell me I'm so scared to even unrack this weight, and I'm like, fine, just for your peace of mind.
I think it helps when you get to that level of lifting, like when you're putting 700 plus pounds in your back. It becomes something different because it's not like where you feel like 315 feels like this, 225 feels like this, 500 feels like this. For me, at least, after that 700 pound mark, it just starts to just feel heavy, but it's not like like the 825. When I picked it up, it wasn't like it felt like 825. I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like 725 felt like nothing, and now all of a sudden 825 felt like, oh my God, the world is crushing down on me. And it was the weirdest feeling because I came down, I came out it was a really relatively quick rep for 825. Coming up, I popped something in my shoulder, which still bugs me to this day. I don't know what it was. And I stand up and I rack it. And everyone was like, dude, you have like 900 in you. And I'm like,
no, I don't.
Like, there is not an ounce. So I didn't even take a third attempt. I was like, awesome, I'm good. But yeah, after that, I'm like, just to imagine getting back to Jose, right? His name is?
Jesus.
Getting back to Jesus. 825 felt like the world on my back. I watched one of his videos a few weeks ago. I think he was at Bradley Martin's gym doing like a workout or something. And he had like 800 something, and he walked it out like it was 225 on his back.
Oh, it's insane.
And I was just like, how?
And if you watch him like that Sheffield performance, which you should, because like I think it's the most highly viewed performance that we've like ever.
I'm sure, yeah.
Like he does it's so shaky. Like you're like, oh God.
So for him, it was finally shaky for him.
I got a little shaky. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, over 1,000 pounds should be shaky.
Yeah, and I think it must have been like 1050 because I know that he didn't surpass Ray Williams' squat because he just needed to beat the best total in the world.
Sure.
And he didn't care about just the squat record.
Just squat record,
He did break the deadlift record, which was like high eights, I think.
Ray Williams was never a massive deadlifter. I mean, massive, but not like, it wasn't his cup of tea.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. I definitely am going to go watch that.
You should.
That's absolutely awesome. So do you have any personal lifting goals left that you want to accomplish?
Oh, for sure. I mean, even now, it's like this year's USAPL Raw Nationals was like 3 weeks ago. And the goal was the podium, or at least be top 5. In my mind, it's podiuming because like you stand next to the podium. I don't care. Listen, it's a competitive weight class, all right? The 148 class is competitive. And I ended up just in top 10, like the lower end of top 10. So my goals are really like not even just number related. Like I want to be top 5 at USAPL Raw Nationals next year.
Okay.
That's my goal. I definitely want to eventually deadlift 500 for sure. I've done 464. I moved very, very well. And then I miss me going for the PR at Nationals. Like I don't really know what I have in me, but someday 500 for sure. My best squat's 413. I definitely want to see if I can ever do 450. I love that.
Wow, that's a great squat.
I really do.
That's a really good squat, especially in that weight class. That's awesome.
Bench press, me and bench, listen, like I'm just happy I'm above 200 pounds now. Like, I mean, this class, I'm always the first one going out for bench press, or like if I'm not first, it's because of lot number, I'm a second. You know what I mean?
That's like so impressive, honestly. Like I remember this is over a year ago now, because Steph also competed, and we were training and we were like kind of in a powerlifting mode, even though we weren't going to compete. And she had never hit 135. And it was like this magical thing where we were like, we're doing bench. I'm like, let's just see where we're at. And, we're doing everything. I think we hit like 120 for her. And I was like, I think I should just put a plate on. And it's like I was like such like a proud moment when to put a wheel on, and then she hit and it was like, boom. And all of a sudden we're like, well, let's add 10 more pounds. And she was like, boom, boom. And I was like, all right, we're going to call it there. Like, it was like the coolest thing though. Like that's incredible. Like, what's her name? older lady, blonde. She always had like the bench record.
Jen Thompson.
Watching her bench is
it's
like
still incredible.
It's so cool.
She breaks the record every meet. She broke it again nationals.
Did she really?
I don't even know what it is anymore.
For her in general or just for her weight class?
She ended up this particular record. I think was a master's weight class record.
Okay,
for that one. But in general, what's her bench? It's 300s.
It's 300 something, which is
like
just
320s or something. I'm
which
just
is
like,
just
what's going
awesome.
on? Like just seeing like the second best at that meet was around 275.
Yeah,
and that bench was like, wow, really?
Honestly, and I'm not even kidding because if you were to put 275 on a bar right now, I would be shaking trying to do it.
So arm wrestling is not getting your bench stronger?
Well, so interestingly enough, with arm wrestling, there's a lot of strain and wear and tear on your elbows. Not in a bad way, but you're conditioning the elbow ligaments. It's TCL or something like that. It's the same ligament that a baseball player deals with when they're pitching.
Okay.
And because it takes a lot of force this way. And because of that, when you unrack, oh my God, I remember I was, religiously benching like every other week for years after I powerlifted. And then I started arm wrestling. And like within the first 2 weeks, I start unracking and I'm like, shake. Whoa. Like that, because the ligaments are so just inflamed and stretched and just not used to this pressure. So it's almost at the point where I can like bench press fine with none of that, because I've been arm wrestling now for almost 2.5 years. But it's a very odd feeling in your hands to bench. So what I'll normally do now is if I do bench or I try to go heavy, I wear like the Mark Bell slingshot, just because it also like my shoulders take a beating with arm wrestling and stuff like that. But we were squatting and we deadlifted the other day. I deadlift right now. I deadlift once a year.
Okay.
Because there's no need for me to at the moment. If I'm gonna do a workout that would help me in terms of, we'll call it physical therapy or life assistance, I'll just do a trap bar because it's more transferable to like me picking up a box or whatever. I'm a big proponent of that. If you don't need to do straight bar deadlifts, don't do straight bar deadlifts. Like, when are you going to be in that position in real life? Very rarely. Like, you can hip hinge in so many other ways.
No, trap bar is way more comfortable for most like everyday people.
Exactly. But I do a straight bar deadlift once a year. And the other day, I came in and I was like, all right, like I feel like deadlifting, because my old coach, Derek Poundstone, like posted a video. I texted him and I was like, oh, how's it going? And I was like, all right, I'm going to deadlift. I hit 500 for 5.
There we go.
Clean reps. So I was like, okay, it's still there. It's still there. And after that, like, Steph and I have been looking at each other like, man, maybe we should do another powerlifting meet.
I mean, you just said you have a 2K total. You still got to hit.
But you know what the tough part is like, I went to squat the other day. I put the Mars bar on my back, and I did Hatfields.
Okay.
With 315. I hit like 3.
Well, you haven't been squatting though.
But I was like, I know, but I mean, I've been still doing legs, but it's all been like bodybuilding type stuff, and not. I know it's all CNS and just getting my tendons and ligaments ready for it again. But I was just like, man, what a hit to my ego. I used to be like, oh yeah, I can squat like 650, 700 pounds like any day of the week, and now, because I used to, like, sometimes even when I was like not powerlifting but still training, I'd like every once in a while like put like 6 wheels on and just, take it for a ride or whatever. And now I'm like, oh man, 315, that's a horrible squat.
Well, I feel like any person who eventually takes a break from powerlifting goes through this, like, how do I really stop? Because really, like, you prided yourself on like, yo, like for me, like I squat over 400 and most men like in the gym who weigh what I weigh can't do that.
No.
Like, I'm trying to reach a 500-pound deadlift. I'm getting closer to it. Like, most people will never do that. So, like, if I ever stop someday, I don't know how I'm going to feel. Like, I'm going to have to figure out what to do. Because, like, yes, it's not like my self-worth in powerlifting. But at the end of the day, it's like, bro, like, that's a big part of my life. And now I'm not hitting those numbers.
Well, and you've worked for it for so long. It becomes, it's true. It's like, it's part of your personality. It's also, like, you're a hardworking person. I think that's what everyone loves the most about powerlifting is you put the work in and like the result just shows on the numbers on paper. There's very few things where you can have instantaneous results in terms of, wow, I hit it for 3 reps last week and this week I hit it for 4 or whatever it may be, whatever the metric is. So it's it becomes part of who you are, which I think is super cool about powerlifting. And also the fact, like you mentioned, you have clients that are in their 50s and 60s and anybody can do it. So yeah, when you're taken out of it, like for me, like I was taken out of it, obviously I had injury.
Yeah.
And I also then, I don't think I ever said this on the podcast. This is probably going on like 4 years ago. I separated my abdomen doing a squat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Okay, this is a cool story. Okay, this is a great story. So as you know, as a powerlifter, right, we wear a belt and we brace against it.
Yes.
Right? But as you don't know, because you're in great shape, when you have a nice big old belly, sometimes you wear it like below your belly.
Well, I see it.
But you know what I'm talking about. You get what I'm saying, right? So I had it like, it wasn't like totally at my, because I never used to wear it at my waist, but it was like below my belly button. Like the top of it was like right where my belly button is. Thinking back, I should have wore it like directly over like the center of my abdomen. But I was squatting at this event for Animal because my girlfriend works for them. And at the time, the guy, his name is Eric Schwartz. Shout out to Eric Schwartz. He's a great guy. And he was like, I know you've always wanted to lift in the animal cage at the Arnold. If you can squat 900, I'll let you lift in the cage. So I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not going to say no to that, right? So we're at this thing, and I'm like, all right. It was like the Arnold was like, let's say 6-7 months away, 8 months away maybe. So I was like, all right, let me just at least hit like 8, like something close to my PR, like 820 something. As long as I do that, he'll see that I'm serious about it. So I'm there, and I'm like, all right, cool. I feel good, blah, 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 blah. And I had like a couple random spotters because it was just people. But I took 3 on each side. And I come down with it, and I came down a little too fast. Mm-hmm. And I get in the hole, I come up, and I start coming this way, and I go, take it. And I didn't take it. Oh, they didn't take it.
No.
So 820 something comes over my head, and it was with a brand new Texas Power squat bar.
Okay.
Cheese grates my head.
I just picture like blood. Now.
Yeah. Oh, cheese grates my head. But the worst part is that the belt pushed up as I pushed down. And when when women this is an interesting segue. When women become pregnant, a lot of times they get a condition called diastasis recti.
Yes, that's
right?
exactly what I thought of when you say split your abdomen.
Instantaneous diastasis recti. So now when women happen, it happens over 9 months, so nothing tears usually. Yeah, or if it does, it's like a separation, and then when they're done, like it slowly works its way back. Instantaneous. And I get up. And it was in a mono. I'm 99% sure that I remember this correctly, but I get up, I go, and I put my arm up on the mono, I look down, and there's this like melon in my abdomen, and I just go, but it was like an instantaneous, I was like, I sucked in, and I went like this, and whatever was like pushing out, pushed back in.
Oh.
And I looked at Steph came around the mono, and I was like, I'm done. I ruined my life. I'm done. My life is over. And it was like a depression for like a while and then on top of that, so right now I still have a groove there.
Okay.
But it still bothers me, to this day. I have to, if I wear my belt, I wear it like right over that spot. Uh-huh. So I went to get it checked out. They didn't say I had a hernia, but I'm like, I had to have had a hernia.
Yeah, you're like,
what was pushed back in? But I guess I've strengthened it up enough to where like nothing pushes out or anything like that.
Okay.
But yeah, that was a horrible experience.
You literally, when you pushed in, did you think like, I just killed myself? Like, I might die today.
No, it was more of a like, it was just this roller coaster of emotions because like one of my dreams was always to lift in the cage.
Yes.
And specifically squat in the cage because like that year, or the previous year we were there, and Andrei Milanichev took like 950 for like 6.
Okay.
And it was like the coolest thing ever. That's actually why I got those monoliths. Those are the monoliths that they used to use in the cage. And I knew that they were so overbuilt that I was like, every dumb person can squat in these and not ruin them type thing. Sure. But it was just this feeling of like, first of all, it was just searing pain. And then on top of that, I'm like, my head spinning because 800 something pounds just literally, I'm surprised I didn't get knocked out.
I literally don't understand how you don't have like a brain injury.
I probably had most likely I probably got a concussion. I'm not sure if I did though. We did go to a pizza place afterwards, so that was fun. And so we were in Brooklyn, and there's a place called Spumoni Gardens, I think it's called. They make super good pizza. Like they're known for their Sicilian pizza.
Okay.
And so we get one, and we're sitting outside, and I'm like, it's so good. Like, you know, like I couldn't even eat. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what sick powerlifters do. You know?
Yeah.
Have you had great segue? Have you had any injuries from powerlifting?
Yeah. Okay. This is actually a really good question because it happened on my Road to Worlds.
This year?
No, 2018.
Okay, 2018.
Road to Worlds. I wish I could say I've been back to Worlds. I mean, if you're talking about dreams, like, we'll see. Because I don't know if you know Leah Bavaw is, like...
So what's her numbers at, roughly?
Oh, gosh. What are her... Like, when she's in her weight class, because she just went up to the next one, but it's, like, 450 squat. It's like a 550 dead, and then her bench is like around 240, 250.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow. Okay.
It's insane. It's like insane. But yeah, so on my Road to Worlds back in 2018, I was like 8 weeks out. I was squatting at Equinox because I worked there. So that's where I did my training for Worlds at Equinox in Paramus, right?
Nice.
So I don't know, probably 250, like a regular squat, nothing insane. I go down. I start coming up, and I always will say this. I think Jesus Christ came down and picked me up from that squat because I felt a pop on the way up, and I don't know how I finished standing up because the safeties were not set up for me, so I would have just like collapsed on the floor. But finished standing up, racked it, then got down on all fours, could not stand up.
So was it in the back or?
It was my back.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
My
it's in your back.
L5S1 apparently is missing like the cushion that should be there or something from powerlifting. Whatever. So, like, literally, but it was, like, a good, like, 4 weeks of, like, sometimes I can barely get out of bed to pee, or some days I can walk, but I can't bend, but I can, like, I'm good enough to walk. Like, it was terrible. Like, I went from,
and
like,
you still competed?
I still competed, yeah. I went from regular training to, like,
oh, okay. And you won.
Yeah, I know. I went from regular training to, like, okay, some days we're going to goblet squat, and some days we're going to see if we can bend over.
Wow.
Like, it was just a roller coaster. I still don't know how I felt good on the day because I did maybe, like, 4 squat sessions the last month of training total. Bench was regular. Deadlift, I pull sumo. So I was able to
a little more
deadlift,
upright.
but like sometimes I couldn't deadlift, but like I could do it more consistently. And then we get to, it was in Calgary, Canada, and like we get there, and I remember like my back hurt, but it wasn't as bad. And I'm a Christian. I will always like, this is God. 'Cause I was praying like, God, please. Like, first of all, I'm broken. I'm like 21 years old. Like, I could barely afford to get there. My mom is so excited. We told all of our family and friends they're all going to be watching. God, I just don't want to bomb out. Like, please, God. And, like, the day of, and I got sick the last 3 days going into Worlds. Like diarrhea, like, I'm talking, like, I can barely move, and, like, I'm trying to weight cut, too. So, like, you're not supposed to drink a lot of water because I'm trying to lose weight.
You're literally having the worst experience
water. I'm like, well, I don't know what to do now. The day of, I felt fine.
Wow.
Now, I still was, like, after, like, all my squats, running to the bathroom. But, like, I wasn't, like, my back was fine. And, like, my sickness was, like, 85% gone. I got through a day. I freaking won. Next day in pain.
I tell you what, sometimes the best, like, those are the best, you have your best performances when you're, like, slightly injured.
I've seen this a lot, though.
Yeah.
You hear this story. I hear this story all the time. Like, someone's, like, sick, like really sick, and like they're kind of injured, but the day of they have a great day, and then they go back to like being half dead.
So I just competed. There's this my arm wrestling team. Me and my partner Chris, we did our first international pay-per-view, and I had a super match, and I've been dealing with like severe bicep tendonitis, but on the proximal insertion, so it just hurts all the time, and it's been plaguing me this whole time, but I had this like amazing performance and won my match. And it's like, it just reminded me so much of powerlifting. Like I remember a couple of those meets, because I think I did 6 in total. Like 2 of them like were some of my best ones. And I had like lots of aches and pains. And there was like little things where I'm like, I'm not going to perform that well. And, you know, like, I think it just maybe part of it is because, you know, something's wrong. You like hyper focus on your form and keeping everything like proper. Maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure, but that does happen. You're right. Like I've seen a lot of people, or especially in terms of the sickness, like throwing up or diarrhea or stomach issues or whatever. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh no, but the meet went great. And I'm like, I'm cool. That sounds good.
Like, all right, at least you survived it.
No, that's fantastic. But before we wrap up, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the SignatureCAST. I think this was great. You're doing obviously amazing things in the sport of powerlifting, especially for women as well. I applaud you on that because, everyone needs to have their avenue and to be able to just help as many people as possible. That's huge. But so we talked about your goals personally. Are there any goals you have in terms of your business, whether it's coaching or anything like that? Do you want to take on more clients, or are you looking to hone in a little bit more? How are things going with that?
Yeah, so like right now, like my cast's been 35 clients. Like I've liked it, but I want to expand it a bit more. So I might go to like 40. I also coach nutrition. I think I want to grow that part a lot because I love coaching nutrition. It's really just for my powerlifting athletes, not for like general population. But like I love it because I have so much fun doing weight cuts. Like I'm obsessed with like the water cut because people are different. I have a lot of older athletes. Sometimes I have to really adjust it, and I love like just figuring out exactly what to do and then boom, to make weight. And you're like, yes, I've done it again. Oh my god, like it's so much. It's just like it's like an ego thing. I'm not kidding. Like I have a lot of fun because you have to. Some people like you do the thing you normally do, and like it's not working. And you have to figure out what to do. You gotta change it. So I want to just expand just like my cap to like more lifters and slowly take more on. My podcast is Power and Lifting Podcast, where I talk to a lot of high-level female athletes in the sport. So I want to just keep doing that because I really, really love it. I do a lot of commentating for USAPL meets, and I'm like obsessed with doing that.
Isn't that super fun?
It's so much fun. So I want to just like keep doing that and like do it at a higher level, and just I do it at the Arnolds, I do it at Nationals. So I want to keep doing that. I might next year want to finally have one coach come under me and like kind of mentor them and then like give them some athletes. But like I don't want it to become like a big coaching business. I want it to be like me and like one person who like I help. Like,
yeah,
not,
because
like 10 people. Like
what ends up happening is like you're saying you're being coached by Solana Lewis, and then there's just these ghost coaches because these people have like 10 people underneath them.
Yes. And
they're just cookie cutter approaching things, which is so, yeah. But that's so cool. That's awesome. I'm super pumped for you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave you with this question. How do you feel? Because personally, I think weigh-ins should be the day of.
Oh, I mean, I'm USAPL, so we do 2-hour weigh-ins.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Props to USAPL.
That's all we do. I hate 24-hour weigh-ins.
I think it even happens with arm wrestling. So I think it is the dumbest thing ever. Because someone can come in, like for example, even we just had our event, and one of the guys weighed in, and he like didn't struggle to make weight, but he didn't eat the whole day and whatever, blah blah blah, and then he probably bloated back up another 15, 20 pounds. Yeah. And I've seen super heavyweights that wanted to do the 308, and then they'll compete at like 340. And I'm like, so you waiting at 308 and now you're 340. How is that fair?
It's not fair, and also it leaves room for dangerous things to happen. Like I've seen people have to go to the hospital trying to cut 25 pounds in a week.
I remember, I'll never forget, there was this, I can't remember his actual name, but he was like a social media powerlifter guy. He was with Strength Cartel, the really, really big guy with all the tattoos. I can't think of his name. Super strong guy. And he cut like 35 pounds of water. Now, he's a big guy because he wanted to be in the 308-pound class. And I'm like, do you know how dangerous that is?
It's very dangerous.
And then the other thing that they don't realize is this isn't the right word, but there's like the super compensation of taking that water back in. It doesn't go to all the right places. They think that like, oh, well, I put like 30 pounds back on. Yeah, but you're holding it like in all the wrong places.
Yeah,
it didn't just go to like intracellular muscular water.
Yeah.
Like it went everywhere. And I'm like, wow, like that just happened. Someone I knew was doing a bodybuilding show, and they cut. And as you know, when you get to, like, especially with the bodybuilders, there's such a lean body fat percentage, which some powerlifters do get that lean. If you just like go way off your diet right away, especially after some of these, for example, bodybuilders are doing these diuretics, and some powerlifters do as well to try to get the weight off.
Yes, not in our fat kids, not allowed, but
yes. But it can be very dangerous because your body can start holding the water in places like even around your heart. Yeah, it's really scary. So, like, there are multiple bodybuilders that I know that have had to go to the hospital and get, like, Lasix and other things given to them because, like, like I said, the water's like everywhere. It's crazy, but that's cool to know. I didn't know they were 2 hour weigh-ins.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really hate 24-hour wait. Like, just for every reason you said, and then also like, why? If we are supposed to be in a weight class, then why are you allowed to be 30 pounds over it and cut all that? Like,
it makes no sense.
Like,
it makes no sense.
And if even as a heavier weight male, like, but not heavyweight, because like heavyweight, like it's just like you can weigh whatever.
Yeah.
But like, these people cut, like the most I've really seen high elite level people in USABL cuts, like maybe 10 pounds for a dude.
Sure.
And that's big. That's big,
no, because
you have 2 hours.
If I had to, like right now, if I, because I'm technically a super heavyweight where I weigh right now, but I'm like 330. Let's say I was 320 and I wanted to just do the 308. I would feel horrible. Because I've done, so the first meet I ever did, I think I've told this story before on the podcast, but to recap, I had 12 weeks before the meet. I weighed 378 and I wanted to do the 308 pound class. So in 12 weeks, I dropped 70 pounds. 100% naturally, I did straight, like literal, like probably the worst form of keto. Like I literally just ate protein. Oh my God. Like almost no fats, 0 carbs. Woo. But anyway, I got to the weight, but I thought the weigh-ins were on Sunday, the day before the meet. They were the day of the meet. They were actually on Saturday. The day before. So I'm like doing my on like water loading and everything's fine. And I'm like, I literally woke up that day at 378. Every day I was waking up like a pound lighter. But I'm gonna be perfect. So I had my first meal. I drank like a half a gallon of water. I'm here like walking on the treadmill, just kind of moving this around. And then like I get an email like, are you still coming to weigh-ins or something like that? And I'm like, oh my God, like it ends in an hour.
That's terrible.
So, and thankfully it was in Newark, but so like, and then I go inside and I hit the scale and I'm like 318 from all the food and all the water and everything. Oh my God. So I go in the sauna here and I just like, I'm like just standing over it, like spitting into a bottle, doing whatever I can. I throw my underwear away because they're just soaking wet. So I throw my shorts on and I drive over there. I'm like swerving because I'm so instantaneously dehydrated. And I weigh in and the lady, I was like 308, like 0.9. And they were like, and she looks at me and she goes, I saw 308, didn't you? And I go, yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
And like, so props to whoever that lady was.
Hilarious.
But yeah, it's dangerous. Even Steph, when she did, so we were looking at her old meets, she did is it 148 pound class?
Yes.
Yeah. So she did the 148 pound class and then she did whatever the next weight class was up. And then, but I think on her third meet, she wanted to do the 148 again, something like that. Oh, no. Well, I'm sorry. She did the 148. At the next meet, she weighed like 155 and she was like, babe, I could do a cut to that. Right. I'm like, and me, like, I'm like, well, yeah, I've done it before. I'm like, it can't be that hard for you. Yeah. And like, also like me at 300 something pounds, her at 148, like not going to work the same.
Different percentage of weight being lost.
Yes. Yes. Not thinking about that at the time. And like, she didn't have one, but I was pretty damn sure she was having like almost a heat stroke in the sauna.
Oh my God.
Because she was like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, oh, baby, you got to stay in there. I mean, like, you didn't lose any weight. And she's just like, and so she ended up having to do the next weight class up because I was like, we get there the day of and she's like 149 and a half.
It's like, you got nothing left.
And I just look at her, I'm like, I'm calling it. Like, this is too dangerous. Like, we went right over to that little restaurant that was in there. I was like, give her some food, like eat, drink, whatever. But yeah, it's moral of the story. It's dangerous.
Also, I believe that unless you are an elite level lifter going for like a big meet for a big win
or a payout or something.
A world record, a big record, like don't cut.
No, it's always fun.
There's weight classes.
The best meet I ever did is the one that I decided to finally do super heavyweight. And I wasn't like super, super heavy. I think I weighed like 330, which isn't crazy for a super heavyweight. Yeah. But there was no restrictions mentally, physically. I felt fueled. I was eating like rice and beef in between the lifts. I felt great, you know. And then all the other meets, I've always been like kind of meh, you know.
It's tough. Like it can be done where you feel great on meet day, but like it truly is a science.
Yes.
Like that's why I say I'm obsessed with that part because like the refuel part. Oh, that's the other half.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I coached the refuel part too.
Oh, that's awesome. So let everyone know at home, Solana, how can they reach you?
Yes, on Instagram, I'm Solana_lifts. You can DM me. You can go to strengthsolutionsinc.com for my coaching services. The Powerlifting Podcast, if you want to hear some cool powerlifting podcasts. And I'm on TikTok too, but I don't use it that much. But it's also Solana_lifts.
Fantastic, guys. That's another episode of the SignatureCAST where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon.